Hey, welcome to Math with Mrs. Cameron. So today we are doing Algebra 1, Lesson 8.2, Multiplying Polynomials. So as it turns out, there's actually a lot of different ways that you can multiply polynomials, and I want you guys to pick your preferred method. You don't have to do it my favorite way. Any of the ways that I show you how to do it, whatever works best or makes the most sense to you is the one I want you to use on your assignments, okay? So we're going to start with method 1, which is the table. So the table method is going to look really familiar to any of you who have taken biology because it looks just like a Punnett square. So for example, if I have the equation x plus 4 times 2x plus 3, I can essentially make a Punnett square in order to find what the solution is. So you would draw your squares like this, and you divide it up, and then you're going to take each term and line them up along the sides. So we have our x and our 4 here for our x plus 4, and then I'm going to put a 2x and a 3 along the side for our 2x plus 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply each of the parts together. So we're going to start with 2x times x, which is 2x squared. And then I'm going to go 2x times 4, which is 8x. And then I have 3 times x, which is 3x. And then I have 3 times 4, which is 12. And then from here, we're going to take all of our different terms, and we're going to line them up. So I'm going to have 2x squared plus 8x plus 3x plus 12. And then what we want to do is simplify our equation. So we're going to look for any like terms that we can combine. And so here we have an 8x and a 3x, and we can combine those because those are like terms. So our answer is going to be 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. And there is our answer. This method usually works pretty well for people who are visual learners and they like to be able to see everything come together. Alright, so after method number 1, method number 2 is to multiply vertically. I'm going to be using a different set of equations for this, just so you can see different numbers instead of the same thing every time. So method number 2 is vertical multiplication. So if I have a squared plus 3a minus 4 times 2a plus 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite it vertically, and this method works the same as multiplying multiple digit numbers. So we have our a squared plus 3a minus 4 times 2a plus 3. So we're going to start with our negative 4 times 3, which is negative 12. Then we have our 3a times 3, which is 9a, and then a squared times 3, which is 3a squared. And now we're finished with our 3. I'm going to come here and I'm going to put a 0 as a placeholder, just because x's can get confusing when we're using them as a variable. So now we have negative 4 times 2a, which is negative 8a. And then we have 3a times 2a, which is going to be 6a squared. And then we have a squared times 2a, which is 2a to the third. And then, just like if we were multiplying a multiple digit number, we are going to go ahead and just add our two rows together. So this is just like we did in lesson 8.1. So we have our, doesn't really matter which end you start at. I'm going to start here. So I have our negative 12. And then I have 9a minus 8a, which is 1a. And then I have 3a squared plus 6a squared, which is 9a squared. And then I have 2a to the third. And so that is how you can multiply polynomials vertically. All right, so if you can do it vertically, you can also do it horizontally. And so that is going to be method number 3. Now, if I go too fast, don't worry about hitting that pause button so you can follow along, okay? So method number, not number 4, number 3, is horizontal. So sometimes people like the horizontal method because it takes up less space than the other methods do. It just depends on what you prefer. If I'm doing a lot of, like, really long polynomials, I usually like to do the vertical multiplication because it helps me keep track better. But this one's really good if you're trying to save space on your paper. So let's go ahead and do 2x squared minus x minus 2 times 3x minus 1. So what we do on this is we're going to basically be taking our first polynomial and splitting it up into individual terms to be multiplied using the distributive property for the second polynomial. So that means I'd be taking this, and I'm going to start with our 2x squared, and that is going to be times 3x minus 1, and then we're going to have minus x times 3x minus 1, and then our minus 2 times 3x minus 1. All right, so now that we have that all written out, we're going to use the distributive property to multiply everything out, and then we'll simplify. So 2x squared times 3x is 6x to the third, and 2x squared times negative 1 is negative 2x squared. And then we move on to our next part. We have negative x times 3x is going to be negative 3x squared, and then negative x times negative 1 is going to be positive x. And then our last section, we have negative 2 times 3x, which is negative 6x, and then negative 2 times negative 1, which is positive 2. So now we're going to be looking to combine any like terms that we have in order to simplify our answer. So we have these are both x squared, so they can go together, and these are both x's, so they can go together. So what we're going to end up with is 6x to the third, and we have negative 2x squared minus 3x squared is going to be negative 5x squared. And then we have x minus 6x, which is negative 5x, and then we're left with plus 2 at the end. So as you can see, that does actually take up pretty significantly less amount of space, at least vertically. So if you're trying to save room on your page, this is a good one to do. Also, if this makes sense, do it this way. All right, so the last way we're going to do is called the FOIL method. So FOIL really only works if you are multiplying two binomials. The pattern doesn't work if you have more than two terms in each of the polynomials that you are multiplying. So, method number 4 is the FOIL method. So I'm going to go ahead and write this along here. So FOIL is first, so you multiply the first terms, outside, you multiply the outside terms, inside, you multiply the middle terms, and then last, So you would multiply the last term, and I'll show you what that means. So we're going to go ahead and do, let's see, so 4a plus 3 times a plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write these as first, outside, inside, last. So first would be 4a times a, because these are both the first terms in the binomials. So the first terms is 4a times a. And then next we are going to multiply the outside. So these are the outside terms. 4a and 2, which is 8a. Here, I'll just write it out for you. So 4a times 2. Inside, these are our two inside terms, is 3 and a. And then our last terms is 3 and 2. Now, you don't have to write everything out like this. I just wanted to do that so you could see. So 4a times a is 4a squared. 4a times 2 is 8a. 3 times a is 3a. And 3 times 2 is 6. So we get an answer after we simplify, because we want to combine our like terms, right? So 8a and 3a added together is 11a. So we have 4a squared plus 11a plus 6. Now I'm going to do one more FOIL example where I'm going to skip writing this middle step out, okay? I'm going to erase this. And let's go ahead and do 2a plus 3 times a minus 2. Alright, so numbers are pretty similar here. So first is 2a times a, which is 2a squared. Outside, 2a times negative 2 is negative 4a. Inside is 3 times a, which is 3a. And last is 3 and negative 2, which is negative 6. And then we'll combine our like terms, which in this case is just the negative 4a and 3a. So we get our answer, 2a squared minus a minus 6. So mostly in the future, you're going to be using the FOIL method. That's the one that's traditionally taught and used. It works really good when you have two binomials, but like I said before, it doesn't really work that well if you have more than two parts to each of the polynomials that you are multiplying. Alright, so this is multiplying polynomials. So tune in for the next lesson after this, okay? Have a good day.